So I want to talk about three of the more entertaining and important games from Week 15 and what they mean going forward. Our first stop is in LA, where we saw one of the best games of the week. This was the first game I went to in person since 2019, and I couldn't have asked for better, honestly. I really think this Chiefs-Chargers rivalry is about to become one of the most competitive in the league. Justin Herbert's legit. He's really, really good. And Mahomes, well, he's still kind of on a different level. Now, Mahomes has had a really good season, but not to his standards, and I'm sure he would tell you the same thing. But this game was probably his most impressive of the season, maybe even the most impressive in his career. I'm sure some people would disagree with that, but let me explain. So for some context, the first 7 games of the year, the Chiefs had a -10 turnover differential. They weren't taking care of the ball, they weren't on the same page, and the defense wasn't doing much. But they flipped the script later in the season. In their last 7 games, they have a +10 turnover differential, so things have evened out at the best possible time. They've won their last 7 games, and these numbers kind of highlight what their formula has been. They're playing great defense, which is something they're not known for. Also, they've played the Raiders twice, who they just completely own, and it's kind of skewed their stats a bit. And most importantly, they've been taking care of the ball, and Mahomes understands that he doesn't have to be the hero every week. But sometimes, the situation demands it. It's late in the season, on the road, up-and-coming division rival nipping at your heels all season. And the great Patrick Mahomes does this. I've always found it really corny when defensive players celebrate every turnover in the end zone. I feel like that should be reserved for touchdowns and safeties. But regardless, hell of a play by Nwosu. And it is cool seeing Chris Rump II hyping up his teammate. But this was the moment for Mahomes, when the gloves came off and he was ready to fight. His heroic second wind was triggered, and he snapped into a different gear. In a season where he spent so much time being Bruce, it was time for him to put on the mask. The heroics of Mahomes kept the Chiefs on top of their division, but in order to take over the top spot of the AFC, they need some help. And 2 days later, they got it, from Indianapolis. The Colts played brilliantly against one of the greatest coaches in the history of any sport, and they knocked off the red-hot Patriots. The Patriots kind of got a taste of their own medicine in this game. The Colts jumped ahead early and put the Patriots in a spot where they had to throw the ball way more than they would have liked. And running back Jonathan Taylor continues to make his MVP case. Now, the Colts were in their bag of tricks early, and they went up 7-0 on the easiest touchdown pass Carson Wentz will ever throw. And you could tell from the start that the Colts were throwing everything they had at this Belichick defense. Now, I want to point out a play that changed the course of the game, and I like this receiver, Jakobi Meyers. He actually runs a good route here, beats his man, but just can't hang on to the ball in a key spot. Tough play, but then it becomes even tougher because on the ensuing punt, this happens, and gives the Colts a 14-0 lead that they would not relinquish. It's very tough to come from behind against the Colts because their running game is so good. And the Patriots made it close, but it's too little too late. Now, some people like to ask if Jonathan Taylor is actually as good as his numbers are, or if his offensive line just makes him look good. And the answer is yes. Just watch Quentin Nelson and Eric Fisher seal off the right side of the Patriots defense as Taylor makes 2 very good New England defensive players miss before breaking off the game-sealing touchdown. This capped off a great night for the Colts, but honestly, this game should be taken with a grain of salt. The Patriots are kind of known for having mid-December clunkers, even in years when they win the Super Bowl. They tend to save their best football for January. The only difference now is, obviously, they have a new quarterback, and only one team per conference gets a first-round bye. So with that in mind, the number 1 seed is more appealing than it's ever been. So what did the Tennessee Titans do when they had a chance to take over the number 1 spot? They choked! They turned the ball over 4 times, and Steelers kicker Chris Boswell made 4 of his 5 kicks in bad conditions. Now, the Steelers' offense is kind of hit and miss, but that defense, my goodness, that defense is stacked. This play is a clinic on what great defenses look like, and it's also really just a good summary of this game. Unbelievable play by Joe Hayden. Now, there's a reason why I wanted to talk about these 3 games in particular, and it's because the playoffs are coming up, and there's a very good chance that these are our top 6 seeds. Now, as of right now, teams 2 through 4 are out of place, and this won't be accurate as of Week 16. But I think Week 18, when the Steelers play the Ravens, is going to serve as an AFC North championship game. I hope it works out this way. Now, I think this is the best rivalry of the 21st century, and if it's for the division, you know it's going to be flexed to primetime, so pretty excited about that. Then I think the Bills are going to take the 7th seed. They have a pretty easy schedule from here on out, and that means that the first round of the playoffs should look something like this. But, I mean, I can't predict Ravens-Steelers 3 weeks out, so it could be this. Also could be this, you know? Can't rule out them Bengals just yet. Also could look like this. But, I mean, at this point, the combinations are pretty much endless. You know, maybe even the Raiders will make it. I mean, probably not, but they might. But I really think it's all setting up this. The Belichickian masterminds against the best quarterback the AFC has to offer. Used to be Manning, now it's Mahomes, but the Patriot way remains the same. This is the pattern of the AFC. They beat the shit out of each other during the regular season, often trying to sprint through the marathon, leaving them in a clusterfuck when the playoffs come around. But this plays right into the Patriots' hands. They don't care about star power, they care about depth. They are crafted for sustainability. Everyone's expendable in New England. Doesn't matter what position you play. Doesn't matter how long you've been there. Doesn't matter how many goddamn rings you have. Everyone can be replaced. Now, sometimes an elite defense or an elite quarterback will help a team squeak through the AFC. But as long as Bill's around, New England's going to be a threat. If this is where they're at with a rookie quarterback, just imagine how their future's going to look. Hi, it's Elijah. Thanks for watching. Really cool of you. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Go like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram, all that stuff. And you're all beautiful people. So keep it up.